Hi, it's Rob again, and I would like to show you this Ruger 1022T in a quick look. I don't think I've shown it before, although of course we've talked a little bit about in previous videos about getting a good cheek weld, and I'll talk about that later. I took this on a recent excursion up to the mountains shooting range with my brother-in-law. You may have seen the video of the driving. It's called Sunday Drive to the Range in the Swiss Alps. So I was pleasantly surprised about how accurate this was. Unfortunately, we couldn't make a video of the shooting because it was a very busy range and our time on that lane was restricted. But nevertheless, we were shooting at 109 yards, 100 meters, at a target where the 10 is a 10 centimeter circle, 4-inch circle, the 10 value, and the bullseye, which is inside the 10, so this is even more concise, is a 5 centimeter circle, or 2 inches in diameter, right in the center of the target. And with this, it turned out to be a real tack driver at 100 meters, which really surprised me. We could hit that bullseye, which is just 2 inches big, at 100 yards all day long. And the ammo I was using was just simple old mini mags, 40 grain round nose, which is my favorite ammo. It also works very well in the SIG Mosquito pistol. Anyway, back to this Ruger 1022. In the past, I've been quite unhappy with this rifle, finding it difficult to be consistent, shoot consistently, and I found that what made all the difference is having a consistent cheek weld, as I mentioned in my channel update 2015. So what I have now is the foam underneath this piece here, which I showed in an earlier mini project video, but now it's fitted with a proper stock cheek piece, I think from Midway USA. It has a nice feel, kind of rubberized on the top, and it looks an awful lot better than just the foam. In general, about the rifle, as you can see right here, I have the Volquartsen or Volquartsen stabilizer, I think they call that. Looks like a muzzle brake, I know. And because this is the 1022T, the barrel is the bull barrel, which is in a hammered finish and 0.92 inches in diameter. So it's very heavy, and in fact I have just weighed the rifle and found that it's 7.4 kilos heavy, or I lost my piece of paper. Here it is. 4.7 kilos heavy, or 10.4 pounds. So as you can see, it's no lightweight, and in fact I think it's even heavier probably than the K31 that I have. The bipod here I think is it's Stoney Creek. Anyway, I'll put all the links down below. And I bought that also from Midway USA. So we can see it's just standing up there. This is the 6 to 9 inch model, which actually I've decided is a little bit too short for my purpose, which is prone shooting. Because as soon as you get your arm underneath this, then you can see you don't really have very much latitude in the height. And I think I should probably buy the 9 to 13 inch model. Because yes, when you have your arm under the stock, it really pushes the muzzle down. So I think this model is really for bench rest shooting, and we don't really have that in Switzerland, so I'm probably going to change that. So moving down, here's a Picatinny rail, and like I say, I'm going to put the links in the description below. Would I use a Picatinny rail again? Probably not. It adds a few millimeters of unnecessary height and puts the axis of the scope higher than it need be, as you can see. I'd really like this down just above the barrel. So probably I would use the Weaver rail that comes with the rifle and have a few millimeters less height for the center line of the scope above the center line of the barrel. And then, since we keep mentioning the scope, I will say a few words about that. This is a terrible scope. It's something I got in a bundle, and I think this is responsible for a lot of the bad results that I had earlier. It's because the optics are relatively poor, it's extremely sensitive to where your eye position is, and I think it even causes you to have a false point of aim, or at least to believe that you're aiming somewhere where the gun is actually not aiming. So the cheek weld solution has really played a huge advantage in that direction. The scope itself is a 4-12 by 50, and as you would expect with a low-cost scope, it's a no-name, made in China. Has adjustable objective and an illuminated mil-dot reticle, even though it has MOA turrets. And that's another bone of contention for me. Having a difference in the measurement unit between the turrets and the reticle just makes it just harder to use, and I can't recommend highly enough having the same units on the reticle and the turrets. You can't easily measure an offset on the reticle looking at your the point where it's hit the target and then translate that to a turret adjustment, because you have to calculate, and that's why I've put stickers on here. 1 mil is 3.43 minutes of angle. That's a very inconvenient number in itself. So for example, if your zeroing shot is 1 mil out, which you can see looking through this, and you want to correct it using the turrets, you'll need to adjust by 3.438 minutes, of course. But if your turrets are in the common quarter MOA per click variety, as these are, you'll need 14 clicks. So the relation between 3.438 or 1 mil and 14 clicks is not so clear for the most. So 1 mil is 14 clicks on this scope because of the conversion factor. And it would be much, much simpler, of course, to have, for example, 1 mil, which you can see through here, being 10th of a mil clicks. Or if you can see through the reticle that it's 3.5 MOA that you're off, then you would quickly find out that it's 14 quarter MOA clicks you need on the turrets. Anyway, I digress. So I think I mentioned that the fact that it has quite poor optics, and that's compared with expensive or more expensive scopes, like for example the one I have on the K31, custom K31 that I built. With these poor optics, it seems to be very dependent on where your eye is, and so anyway, the cheek weld issue has now been solved, and that really does make for a much improved situation with this rifle. So moving down, I have several standard 10-round rotary magazines with this rifle, and I have two BX25 25-round magazines from Ruger, and I must say these work extremely well. Going into the trigger unit here, I have fitted a bought auto bolt release before I learned how that I could make my own. I even made a little video on doing that, but this one is actually a bought one. I've also fitted a polymer bolt stop, which gives the bolt somewhere softer to hit against after the shot, and it certainly makes the rifle sound a bit more civilized rather than this awful clack after the shot has been fired. Apparently these polymer bolt stops have a finite life, but I must say I haven't seen any deterioration until now. So going back to this cheek piece, I think it's from Midway. Like I say, I'm going to put the link in the description below, and it's really does the job very well. It has a little pocket here which you can put tools or hearing protection in, or whatever you like. And I also use it to keep this cord, the remains of this cord, which holds it on in there and keeps it tidy. Yeah, I think I mentioned the weight of the rifle being 4.7 kilos or 10.4 pounds. And most of that's really down to this very heavy barrel, even without the scope and even without the bipod, it's still pretty heavy. So being heavy is of course an advantage when trying to shoot accurately, because that means that even the modest recoil is further damped, and the Volquartsen stabilizer here helps also, and so you can maintain your cheek weld when firing without having your head shaken by a strong recoil. Of course, with the 2.2 it's anyway modest, and so you're able to shoot on target, stay on target, shoot rapidly, and also maintain your head position. So there we go. It's a very nice little rifle. Of course, there are zillions of videos about the Ruger 1022 out there. It's this is by no means exhaustive. Feel free to go and visit the other videos. But it's surprisingly accurate and capable of very good performance. So that's been my quick look at the Ruger 1022 target. If you liked what you heard, then like. If you're not already subscribed, then please do. That helps me a lot. And see you next time. Thanks very much. Bye.